want to personally thank all of our members of our school board for everything they do for students and staff in our district, going above and beyond. And truly, I just want to publicly note that appreciation. My last thing is, you might notice Sandy Lynn is not here. She's on her first vacation in 2 years. Actually, I think she's coming back tonight. She'll be at work tomorrow, but she's been gone since, I think, last Wednesday. She flew down to Arizona. Her son is a pilot, and he lives down there. So she's been down there enjoying. I've only called her one time, so. You got to remember, I owe her. She called me 2 days after my heart surgery, so.
I'd be willing to bet she brought work with her.
Yep.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, that would be Sandy, definitely. But I'm sure she's having a really nice vacation, and she deserves it.
Well, good for her. We'll look forward to seeing her in a couple weeks. So we can go on to the learning model update.
Okay, so Janelle's going to get this up. All right, thank you. And then a little bit here. We're going to make a transition in our learning model. So what I'm going to do tonight is sort of give you our current reality. A lot of it's going to be based on data. I think if you have good data, you make a informed decision, the right decision. And obviously, as we're going through a pandemic and the learning models, you know, decision is not just data what we have, but also it's also guided by the science. And you always hear that. And I've got Jen Schenecker here. She's going to come up a little bit as I go through my presentation. And when you talk about the science of it, what guides it is a lot through our mitigation procedures that we have in place and things that were added and that type of thing. And she's done just a tremendous job throughout this whole last year going into this year. It's been a very, very, very busy time talking to other districts, the stress on the health services and all the nurses, the work that they have to do with contract tracing and communicating with parents and kids, and it's just absolutely overwhelming. But Jen has been A+ in her work leading our district through this, so we're going to have her come up here. So with the learning model update, let me just give you some background. Back last November, when we were in hybrid, and when we're in hybrid, when we're on for 2 or 3 days and off 2 or 3 days, the amount of prep time and prep work it takes for teachers is, as they found out, and obviously we sort of knew before going in, it was tremendous. And we were getting a lot of people stressed out. And at that time we formed a task force. We had 6 teachers within the district. We met right here and talked about what we can do to give them more time to prepare for this, because the planning time was tremendous. And as you can see on the screen there, we decided on getting 2 days of teacher prep time, December 7th and to be determined. But I remember December 7th being a day that was going to really work good with elementary, so we decided to go with it. Well, it wasn't a week later, we get a governor's order to have 2.5 hours per week. And as they say, 30 minutes of daily prep time. We decided, as we track our hours, to go, it would have been hard to do 2.5 hour early release every Wednesday, so we went 2 hours and then 2 preparation days. And I added another date, which became March 12th, which we communicated with families. Come December, if you remember our December 14th meeting I presented at, we were all in distance learning at that time. And we talked about, and basically I think you supported my decision, that we were going to return to hybrid in January for grades K-12. Well, it wasn't a week later, again, the governor's order, we had another one to return full in person for K-5, which was quite the surprise. It was, sometimes things leak out. That one did not leak out. So I was as surprised as anyone was. And our decision was to go back in hybrid the 11th, but what we did was go K2 on January 11th, and 2 weeks following was grades 3, 5, and then middle school and high school returned in hybrid. Come February, again, at our meeting a couple weeks ago, I talked about, and I didn't want any surprises for anyone, but the plan is we were looking at COVID rates, we were looking at vaccinations, just with everything that I felt pretty confident we'd be back in person in March. And of course, as fate would have it again, governor's order to return to hybrid or in person by March 8th. And I'm not going to go through all that, but if you saw the press conference, you saw things on the news media, whether it's social media or the TV or newspaper, there was a lot on that and a lot of details that involve that too. So that's sort of background where we're at right now. Now give me some, where we're at. Like I said earlier, K2, we're on our 7th week K2. We're on our 5th week with grades 3 through 5. Teachers have been fabulous. They've loved it. The kids, families, happy. We have not, knock on wood, we haven't had one COVID case, one quarantine. It's going to happen, folks. So let's not get shook up if that does happen. But right now, we've been very, very fortunate and things are going very, very well. So full-time in person at the elementary now, going on our 5th and 7th week. Let's talk case rates. Now, remember, I talked about last time, this is the starting point, county case rates. This is not the end point. This is not where we make our decisions based on. Even though from MDH, and a lot was talked about early this fall or even late summer about these thresholds, but these are the number of cases per 10,000 people. Keep in mind, I don't have the big chart up, but we were almost at 200 in November. Okay? These numbers are where we were back in September. So you can see LeSueur, Scott, and Rice County. Now basically we're 30 and under, and that's what they have projections ending for February 13th. And I think this next week on Thursday and Friday we get for ending on February 20th. I'm sure they'll be as either flat or even lower. You might read this, but there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it only makes sense that the more vaccinations there are, the more herd immunity there are, it's going to go down. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have flare-ups. You never think that. And, I suppose if we're not following all the protocols that we're supposed to be following, we'd have problems too. But those are our county case rates. So this is the first. The second thing we look at is zip code. And you can see the last 3 weeks how it's gone down from 28 to 18 and just to have 7 in our zip code. So COVID rates are going down right now. Let's talk vaccines. This is a hot topic. Right now, let's go back in January when it opened up, when the state opened up their vault, and we were informed we informed our staff, I can't remember the date it was, but to be checking their email, and then we sent out an email, all school email, and a text saying at 6 o'clock you can set up an appointment with the state of Minnesota to get your vaccination. And we were able to contact 202 staff members. We were able to get, we think our projections were about 130 got appointments. We were also getting a lot of people on their own were getting appointments too, whether it was through their pharmacy or clinic or whatever the case may be. They might be a healthcare provider on the side, so they're able to do that. Or if they had a friend that was a pharmacist, I don't know, we were getting people from all over. But anyway, when we did a survey, keep in mind we have 650 staff members about, and we asked them who needs a vaccine and wants a vaccine. So who needs it, wants it? That's all employee groups. The survey returned with 188 people that want a vaccine. Now this is after that first surge, okay? So don't think that was the only one out of 650, but we already had people getting vaccinations. This is what we got coming up this week. Scott County, we've got 144 staff members that are going to get their first dose at Scott County this week. 72 that were supposed to get it last week, but we had the weather, the bad weather, cold weather down south which canceled everything, so they all got rescheduled, plus 72 new ones that just got contacted this afternoon. LeSueur County, I can't thank them enough. They've gone above and beyond to help us. They don't need to help us because we're located in Scott County, but we have asked, I've reached out and asked if they could help out. And so the last couple of weeks, they've either given vaccinations or we have 25 people scheduled to get vaccinations through them. It's people that work for our district. We give them the names and everything that work for our district that live in LeSueur County.
Nice.
Okay, it's not everybody because we've got people in LeSueur County going to Scott County, but it's what we had left over. And then we've got through the state vault, the state of Minnesota, we've got 19 that are going to be vaccinated this weekend. So that takes care of all 188. We still have a few substitute teachers, a couple volunteer coaches, a couple school board members, a few people in district office that are not on this list yet. They weren't part of the 188. And there were people that signed up through the state but did not do the survey. But we still might get a few that have changed their mind and want to get the vaccine, and they'll be going next week. But we'll finish off this 188, and then anyone that maybe not be signed up yet, or the people I just talked about, probably will finish up next week. So, I mean, this is phenomenal. We are ahead of many districts right now, and we're fortunate because of, well, Scott County really coming through the last couple of weeks, LeSueur County. We've done saliva testing we've done it 3 times, Jen? 3 times since January 18th. So every 2 weeks on a Monday, Jen and Martin Baller run it here, and they have it here, and then they also go out to Eagle View. We've had 221 participate. We've only had 3 positive tests out of those 221. And
Is that voluntary?
Oh yeah, totally voluntary.
And do they need to be symptomatic to be tested, or can anybody?
No, actually, you want to talk about the guidelines here? Aren't they recommended for asymptomatic people, really? Go ahead. Yep, pull the mic down.
So it's intended for asymptomatic individuals. If they're experiencing symptoms, we don't want them at work or in our building. So it's purely asymptomatic, no known exposure, but they have the opportunity to come every other Monday and be tested if they wish.
Jen, you can stay up here. We're getting into the science stuff here. Okay. So anyway, that's the saliva testing. That was one of the things that Governor Walz came out and said all districts had to do, along with. We've had so many orders, I forget. But anyway, we'll keep going here. All right, we're up to date right now with our COVID-19 data as of February 17th. All right, here are the district data information. This is on our dashboard. Jen, you want to just talk about this briefly?
So this was updated yesterday, actually. It's updated once a week, and overall, our numbers they've remained low. This is looking at September 3rd until now. And these are a total of students and staff that have tested positive or have been quarantined due to an exposure in our buildings.
And this is through when? Last week?
This was updated yesterday.
So from the beginning of the year till now. Yep. And then you want to talk about positive transmissions?
So we have not had any transmissions during our school day. So someone comes in determined to be within our buildings during their infectious period. They have not passed it on to anybody else in our buildings. We have not found anyone to be linked to each other. All cases have been independent of each other. We continue to follow all of the mitigation strategies that are put forth by the Department of Health, including masking, providing other forms of personal protective equipment, face shields, plexiglass barriers. We're also continuing to follow the social distancing parameters, including minimizing the intermixing of groups and students throughout the school day. Hand hygiene stations are available throughout the buildings, and utilization of them is worked into the student's day. And we're also following all the state guidelines for monitoring and excluding for illness, as well as the cleaning and materials handling.
So, I mean, there's a number of factors there that go in, and, who knows what it is, but it's not spreading from within. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you here it's like perfect that there isn't some breakdown in social distancing. You're not going to keep some of these kids apart. I don't care if it's whatever level. I know our regional support team says it over and over again. The main thing that you have control over, especially a teacher, is keeping their distance from the students. It might be different, it might not, but what we want to do, it's hard to do, especially all the time, but as much as possible. But whether it's masks, whether it's shields, whether it's working, because you've heard me say this before, schools are not the spreaders. Schools are not the spreaders, and it's been very safe, and we feel very good about the numbers here. There you can see by school for employees and students that have confirmed cases since September 3rd.
With the middle and high school, is that mainly through sports or not necessarily?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, I can't say that none of it has been related to sports, but more often than not, it's happening within the students' homes is
Right.
where we're seeing a majority of the cases start.
The thing with the sports is if somebody on the team tests positive, then they just quarantine the
They have
team.
to quarantine
That doesn't
everybody.
mean it came from there.
Right, okay.
Yep. We've had a lot of teams quarantine just because they might be going against someone, a basketball game, and the next day the team calls or even 2 days later and said one of our kids tested positive, and then our team's quarantined for 14 days. So that's just what the rules are, and you got to follow the rules. Do you have anything else, Jen, or any questions for Jen? She's the expert. She knows how to contract trace better than anyone. A lot of investigating, I'll tell you that.
Forced to become an expert pretty doggone quick.
All right, and next I want to just share with you too. I mean, I got to share this data with you. Number of failures, 2 students or more. You can see the jump at the middle school, almost 3 times. High school's a little bit, just under double. Now this is from end of first semester last year and end of first semester this year. And keep in mind, our teachers are doing a fabulous job. Whether our elementary distant learning teachers, it's gone. I can't even tell you how great it's gone. And all of our teachers at all the buildings. In fact, if we didn't have the people we have doing such a great job, it could be a lot worse. But not every kid has the same support system. Not every kid can learn at home, have the discipline to do that, or like to do it. There are kids out there that are thriving on distance learning. There are kids that are out there that are thriving in hybrid. But by and large, is it better to get these kids here every day? Yes, despite the great job a lot of people are doing right now. And the same thing is, I don't have any hard data on mental health. But I can tell you down at the middle, I talked to a counselor at the middle school, they've had 30 contacts in the last 2 weeks from parents with needing help and support for their kid on that, on the mental health, the social emotional part too. So, that goes into everything. So I think, we are doing as good a job as we can be, but this is a hard thing going through this pandemic and with all the different types of learning and doing the learning models. It's a challenge, but we're trying to be positive and be patient as much as we can. So the rationale to make a change to go to full-time in-person for grades 6-12, I've shared with you the county case rate data. Low. It's going lower. Zip code data, which is the second one. The most important one, the current health of our school communities. And as of last week, it was 0 and 0, by the way. I know you saw up there 9 students, 2 staff, but it was 0 and 0 last week. So I think the health of our school communities, and I told you about elementary, how that's gone for the last 6 weeks. The guidance and support from our regional support team. There are 2 state epidemiologists, the county health director, county health nurse from LeSueur County, and the county nurse from South Central Cooperative, all form that regional support team that we've met with probably 3 or 4 times this year. They've been wonderful to work with, and they're strongly recommending that we get back to full-time in person. I don't need to talk much more about Governor Waltz, what he talked about getting kids back to school. And you've seen the vaccination rates that our staff, unless they on their own cancel the appointment for whatever reason they can't make, I'm almost positive every single staff member, every single teacher will be vaccinated. Unless we have a very bad blizzard come this week. No, we won't. Forecast looks really good. So we're in very good shape. So why we're making the transition would be for that. So my recommendation to you tonight, and I can take questions and comments after this, is to restart full in-person grade 6-12 on March 8th. The main reason I could talk, you might say, well, you're just doing this because TCU and Jordan or whatever. TCU started the day after President's Day.
Right.
You got to remember, they had everyone vaccinated. They're way ahead of us on vaccinations. And it's a whole different thing. This is not like a snow day, all right, where you got the dominoes going. But they are back. Belle Plaine is doing a gradual roll-in, 2 grades at a time. I can't give you the timeline on that, but I know they started 2 grades already. Jordan is starting March 3rd. Prior Lake and Shakopee. Last I heard, they were going to wait till after the spring break to wait till April. Whatever. I mean, I could go on and on. There's tons of schools already full-time in person south of us. You go in the cities, there's some still in distance, haven't ever done anything. And then it changes when you go farther from the cities up north. So it's all over the board. All we can control, the decision I make is based on the data that I have. And the bottom line is this, is that increased student contact. We need to get the kids in school. It comes March 8th. Do you know that's almost 1 year? Their last student contact day last year was March 13th. All right? And again, I know we have kids that are doing fine that will stay in distance learning, and that's a parent family choice. I respect that. And some of them are doing very well. But there are kids, I think a lot of them, that want to get back in the school. Their families want them back in the school. You can't believe how many teachers I've talked to that our teachers want the kids back. But we got to go back to what I had Jen up here. We have to do it safely. We have to do it right. And so, but increased student contact time is why we're coming back. But we also have those other factors I had there on the screen. We're going to have a planning day for Friday, March 5th. I already indicated that we have a planning preparation day for March 12th, going back to the thing. One of the things we're going to have to talk about, not at this meeting, but at a future meeting, understand that at the elementary level, we have distance learning teachers, okay? And at the high school, we have some teachers teaching both. Right now, Principal Adams has worked out the schedule that teachers can get a double prep, 2 50-minute preps, basically. The middle school, as far as prep time, we're going to need to address that because even if we don't count March 12th, we're above the number of hours required by Governor Waltz, but we got to figure out something to increase the number of prep hours at the middle school for our teachers because almost all of them are teaching both. They have classes where they have distance and in-person students at the same time. Some have 1 class, some have 2, some have even 3. So we got to figure that out, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. But basically, for grades 6 through 12, we'll have planning days on March 5th and 12th. 5th, before we get started, actually talking to a few teachers, they're looking forward to getting that 1 day. And then they'll have conferences on the 11th. That's a change we need to make. And then have a planning day again on the 12th to see where things are at, to reset things. But yeah, that's my recommendation. Just everyone note on March 12th, too, that's K-12 day. That's a K-12 day. March 5th is grades 6 through 12. So just want to make sure I'm clear on that. But that's my recommendation, and after we discuss, we need to take action on the calendar. This will be the 8th time this year we're changing our calendar. Yes, that is a school district record. I'll answer, I'll take questions right now or comments right now.
Once they go back to full-time, will you be able to consolidate the students on distance learning so you don't have, like, will they all be put into one program with?
Yep, let me just give you an example. In middle school, it will be synchronous. So at the middle school, if a social studies teacher, 7th grade social studies teacher has 4 core classes, probably 3 of those will be, let's just say 25 kids in a class, and their 4th class will be probably half the class distance and half the class in person. And it gets to be a challenge. We have the cameras to make it work, so synchronous learning, but it's still a challenge to prepare for. Some teachers in math and language arts might have 2 of those classes like that. Not every teacher does. Not every teacher might have 2, but pretty much everyone has 1, and then even the allieds have 2 or 3. So yeah, it will be synchronous.
Is it necessary to be synchronous, or could that?
I think that's the only way to be able to do it, from talking to people there at the middle school and high school, yes.
Anyone else have questions?
I was just going to ask, are you going to allow teachers, or not teachers, parents, are you going to allow parents to be able to opt in for distance learning again with this transition, or out, or?
It could depend on the situation, but right now we've asked the parents. I have a good friend that made the decision, when we came back in January. I know I talked to the principals at the middle school. Just, they wanted to go distance learning. Students thriving, doing great, but sort of the agreement was that we're going to stay distance learning then. It will be, even at the high school, it will be absolutely crazy if we didn't. It's never totally black and white, so there could be a case where that would not be the same. Martin here? No, Martin's right here. Good question.
The point is that we're letting the parents make the decision. If the parents feel that that's the best thing for their child, then they can have that option to do that.
Yeah, and that's what they've had. It's
Right.
just, I think what Matt's talking about is changing right now, which we're discouraging. We can't handle that.
Okay.
It would be chaos. And I don't have it's not like we've done a survey we did a survey early with distance learning families, and it was very positive. Elementary, like I said, we've got teachers just devoted to that, doing an awesome job. And in secondary, from everything I'm hearing, and of course I got a good friend that's daughter's doing it and loves it, and then teachers have been great, so it's been very positive.
We have neighbors who decided to keep their kindergarten student in distance learning, and it's fine for them.
Yep.
It's working out.
Yeah, and we're also getting students that might have gone, like, say, homeschool, but re-enrolling. But obviously we're going to take them in. So I know Janelle's getting plenty of calls for that too, and we'll get through this.
I think the March 8th date is a good date. I think we're making the right decision.
Yeah.
Looks good. By going with all the information that we have, I think it looks good.
Anyone else?
Let me just comment on that too. And originally, in my mind, I was thinking, when I was here last time when I said March, my mind was March 15th. And it was just because of the natural, we're already taking the 12th off. We could go the 11th, get it done with. But I don't know. It's just getting these kids back as soon as we can, get some normalcy, and getting them back. If we can do that in a safe manner, I think it's the right way to go.
It would be nice to end the year in a somewhat normal way.
Yeah. We're waiting direction from the state, from the MDH too, as we go forward too, when it comes to, prom, graduation, all that stuff. There's a lot of unknowns right now, but I do see things getting better. It's funny, if you read, probably the key for sanity is not to read too much, because you get so much differing information out there. Some you read, it's like the world's coming to an end, and then someone else, some other doctor is saying, things will be normal in April. Who knows what it's going to be, but as we go through this, the only thing I can say is that we can control what we can control with our safety measures, that we follow the mitigation, that we, put kids first, all those things to make it the best school environment we can, and go from there.
It was in November that we went to distant learning, correct?
Yes.
And it was at one of our board meetings that I spoke up and I said that I think this is the best thing this is what we should do. It wasn't the best, and I didn't want to do it, and I got many phone calls about it. But I really, truly believe back in November that was the best thing that we could have done. It set us up for today. I cannot wait to go home and tell my children they're going back to school. And I'm super excited that it is going to be March 8th, and we're not going to delay this any longer, because they need to get back into school, and they're going to be so excited. I don't know who's going to be more excited, the teachers or the students, but they want to go back.
Parents.
I know. I'm like elated, but that's just that mom. But yeah, we could push this out, but why? Why?
Yep.
There's no reason. So I totally support the March 8th.
Okay, good.
We have to make a motion.
We do not need to make a motion on that, but we do need to talk about it on the calendar.
Yeah, what we'll need is a motion on the calendar to have March 5th as a planning day,
Yep.
and to move secondary conferences, middle school and high school, to March 11th. Janelle, you're going to put that up there? So, yeah, like when I said this is the 8th calendar, I asked Janelle earlier today, I said, okay, we got to make another calendar change. What number is this? And she counted them up, and this truly is number 8 for the year. But there is no rule book for pandemics. I found that out. We just got to do the best we can. So if you can see on there, March 5th and 12th will be the 2 planning days. And now March 11th will be secondary conferences, middle school and high school will be on that date.
I'll make a motion to change the calendar as noted by our superintendent.
Second.
Any more discussion on that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 7-0. Anything
And-
else?
Yeah, I just want to mention, so a letter will be going out tonight to staff and then to families indicating of this change.
Perfect. All right, anything else? A motion to adjourn.
To move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Welcome back to school.